what? This is so funny. This is seriously take two, people. Facebook told me it was live, and then it wasn't live, and it wasn't live on both Facebook pages. And so here we are for the second time, really. And then it was, I don't know, it was just really funny. So, yeah, we were kind of late, but it was not ours. It was a delay. But that's okay. You didn't see how blurry I looked a minute ago. So that's okay. You can't tell that.
For everybody that's tuning in for the second time, Lynn is becoming acquaintance with her camera.
Yes, because we were talking about the topic today is called, I'll let you say, because my accent was getting to me when I was trying to say this before. So relationships and acquaintances.
As we've established that Lynn's Long Island dialect doesn't work well with the word acquaintances.
Acquaintances.
Oh boy,
I tried.
Your face when you do that. Oh my goodness. Hey Sandra, thank you for being here with us.
Yes, thank you, Sandy. Oh my goodness.
Man, if we had to take a swig of coffee for every time that we said the word acquaintances, we could really get jacked up today. That'd be fun.
Oh, it's a good thing I don't do coffee.
Well, coffee, water, whatever, but then you might have to run to the bathroom and I got to fly solo.
Cheers. Cheers. There we go.
Cheers.
Okay. There you go. Cheers. There you go.
So
we got to get practice.
Acquaintances are, in my opinion, vital to when you go through the relationship process and do the work on yourself to free up space, from people that don't need to be there. Or you just haven't examined in a while. I think that acquaintances are involved in that. And to me personally, to be fully transparent, you're either a friend or you're not. I don't really know how else to say it. I mean, because an acquaintance is like, okay, what are they there for? Are they enriching your life? Are they go ahead.
I have my granddaughter. She wasn't feeling good, so she's here today. So she's a little distracting me. So that's just life. But yeah,
it's. Go ahead, Lynn. We got a little delay today.
I didn't mean to interrupt you, but I wanted to ask: don't you feel like you have to be acquainted with people first before you can get to that other level of a relationship?
I think it all depends on where you're at. I mean, what's your end goal? But I mean, if somebody stays as an acquaintance, that's really not only have you determined some way somehow whether it's conscious or unconscious or of where they are in your life, but also though why are you not moving the needle forward to make them a friend or to get in a relationship with them, right?
Okay, and so do you try to move that needle really super fast? I mean, do you speed date acquaintance? I mean, meet people. No. Do you speed? I mean, what I'm saying is what criteria or time frame do you give an acquaintance? Because let's say there's a bunch of people that just hang out and first time you meet them is just hanging out, but everybody's talking as a whole. So you didn't really you're just acquainted with them that first time, but then the second time you may get to talk to them. I mean, sure. So are you really cut and dry with your acquaintances and where that goes, or do you prejudge that? I'm just asking. I need to know out of Brian's.
I think we need to break this down. If it's personal, if it's professional, okay. A few of the red flags for me is that if somebody doesn't value my time, or if they, if they ask me for advice on something and then they don't use any advice, I mean, there's red flags that come up. But what is it about? Is it about to really get to know me, or for what I have access to in terms of training, development, learning? If it's just, but then what is it, what keeps it going? Because if I feel like I'm putting in more of myself than what I'm getting in return, I'm going to see what's there. And it's going to be clear to me, is this something I can just set aside? And it doesn't mean that there's wrong, that the people are wrong, or that there's not, that there's anything that they can't offer me. It's just, it doesn't feel right. It doesn't look right, or it slows me down. Where I'm going in life. It's like, okay, do I feel like they're up and we kind of resonate and talk the same level, or is it nagging? Is it lacking? Is it something that I can be honest and straight with that person at all times? So There was a lot in there, but it's like one of the biggest red flags to me is that if somebody wants something and I find out their true intention and it's not about actually being connected, right, and getting to know each other, I have a problem with that. You know, is it a friendship or a prospect?
Yeah. Well, I guess because I went to different school every middle school and elementary, 6th grade, 7th grade, 8th grade, and 9th grade. I went to all different schools. So I never, and I mean, okay, we're adults now, but I'm just saying as whatever, to get along. And I mean, I had to prove who I was. It was one of those things where I just never had a motive of, let me find the most popular person to be friends with, or let me find this, whatever. And I just brought that into my adult life. I guess my thing is I like to get to know somebody and see where, if I fit in their life. I don't try to, bulldoze myself. There I go talking again.
There it is again. Everybody take a drink. Take a drink. Take a drink.
Bulldoze my way into a relationship. And so like when I first was here, the first 7 years in Montana, I didn't have that many friends here. Everybody kept to themselves. But then when I started my lingerie business, like everybody wanted to be my friend. But of course they want to be my friend because I give a lot of free stuff and this and that and whatever. But I enjoyed it, and whatnot. But I guess there is a degree that you always have to wonder what it is that it's in it for them. But I just don't work on that mindset, I guess, and like I said, I never thought of talking to you and thinking of a show that just, that just naturally happened. And it was just a great blessing. But again, I think because we both had an open mind, and I don't know, it's just this really, really interesting. I would love to have other people's stories on this.
Share with us what that looks like. I mean, Sandra did a good job in sharing, it's a friendship versus a prospect. We want to hear from you what that is. I make friends first. Yeah. And everybody, the way it shows up for everybody based on your life and your backgrounds and what you went through is always going to be different. Right. And you're entitled to that. You should have that. But I just don't, I'm 41 right now. I don't have time for drama. I don't have time for people that are trying to get something from me. I'm a pretty good judge of character when it comes to, if somebody's reaching out to me out of the ordinary, which I've known them or I've been aware of them for a long time, but now they try to puff my chest out and, make me feel good. And it's all inauthentic.
You said log.
What's that?
You said long time.
Long time.
I heard the accent. Long
time.
I love it.
Moving on.
I'm rubbing off for you.
Give me a salami sandwich or a pastrami. Hold on. I'll be right back. Go full screen and I'll put on a plaid shirt and go up to Canada. How about that? Okay.
Hey, Sandy's over there.
I just
cracked myself up.
It's a great question that you posed to me. I just don't have, to me, it's very clear in my brain, maybe because I'm independent, maybe because I'm an only child, but it's, you want to get on my red flag list, you ask something of me. Like, it's one thing to ask an opinion, but it's another thing. Hey, I want you to give me a whole bunch of free information about a body of training I don't want to do, or you're inauthentic by just being fake. I don't tolerate fake people in my life. You show up as authentically you, or you don't,
Right, but I guess what I'm saying to you is soften you up a little. I want to soften you up a little because I know you're kind of soft guy. Yeah. But I would just want to say this where, if you come in and we're friends here. So, I mean, where I'm coming from love here, but I want you to realize that I think having that little bit of prejudice thought and thinking somebody has a motive, you should let that go till you smell the shit going on, because you might be missing out on something. you know, because it was so funny. Because when we talked, you know, I mean, I guess people don't realize how friendly and how sweet I am, even if I'm a Puerto Rican girl from Long Island. Okay, but people, you know, like they'll say, "What's your deal? What are you up to?" I'm like, "I'm not up to nothing. I want to get to know you and say, hey, I had a good conversation with you and whatever." You know, so I'm just saying, like, I've had people think that I want something from them, and I don't. I just want to get to know them, you know, and I just put my cards on the table. But I'm like, wow, I didn't think, wow, if I would have known that I should think about what I'm going to get out of this, I would have said, let's meet another week so I could figure that out. You know what I mean? Like I guess it just depends. I just realized that I have prejudged things, and then I come in with that prejudgment, and I had that jagged edge. And you know, I've been sexually abused and stuff. So I mean, when a guy starts bringing it on thick, it's like, how you doing? All this stuff. I'm, you know, in that situation, I'm going to be like, okay, what do you think is in it for me or not, or that kind of stuff. So yeah, I have that mode. But as far as a friendship, you know, I don't use that perspective, because a really nice guy should not have to suffer for some assholes in my life.
Right.
You know, the experiences I had. So if I
after
you know what I mean?
after you speak to after I broke up with my ex, there was a short relationship I had for 10 months, and there were some things that happened in her life with men and whatnot that really paved the way for the way that men looked in the future. And I had to share with her, I said, I respect you being transparent and vulnerable with me about your past, but please don't lump me in that category, because I'm not them. And I know that it might be difficult to separate the two, but please don't lump me in with the other people, because that's not fair to me. And it's not fair to you to move on.
I want you to remember that. I want you to remember what you're saying there. I want you to have that perspective in any situation when you meet somebody.
Right.
Because she was prejudging you. No, I'm saying, because you come with that energy. Don't come with that energy, because you're going to miss out. You're an awesome guy. You could probably intimidate a few people.
Yeah. Yeah. But the thing about it is that,
and then you lose out.
Now, but here's the thing. Every acquaintance that I'm thinking of in my head, that there's been a backstory, that they've shown up in such a way where they only reach out.
And backstory
to each of these people. I've known these people for a while. It's not like it's somebody new, right? I mean, those are the examples of acquaintances in my brain, that people shown up to me. A lot of people have wanting to prospect me lately. Would love to actually meet you. Yeah. Every example of an acquaintance has been from something that was fake, artificial. They knew me before, but now they need something. Like, I have a body of training that I've done, and they just want to tap into that, but they don't want to do the training themselves, or they don't want to do the work when it comes to something. You know, it's, you know, we're not talking like new people, right? We're talking people from the past.
The people in the past are acquaintances. I guess, yeah, you just know them and you move on. So, I mean, it just depends the degree of acquaintance. At first, I thought we're talking about just meeting people. You know what I mean? Like you said, this is like deep stuff here. So I'm talking about like the first impression kind of acquaintances.
No.
Acquaintances.
Like, you know, but I mean, because here's the thing. You meet somebody, and it's like, what wants to lead you to talk to them again, and then you learn more about them and whatnot. You know, everything I'm sharing from is like how acquaintances have been defined in my brain by my experiences. But they're in the past. It's not like somebody brand new that I just met up online and, you know, maybe in one of the groups that we're a part of. You know, I'm not going to prejudge them, because I know nothing about them. But I'm going to try to engage them a little bit, or, you know, that kind of thing, to be like, wow, it's a great comment or something, right? I mean, I'm fully aware that it is very inauthentic and immoral to judge somebody based on not knowing them or ever talking to them, right? Gauging who they are and what they're all about.
Okay. You know? I wasn't trying to interrogate you or put you on the defensive, but I wanted a clarification, because I know you from a different demeanor. And I was like, that's not Brian's demeanor. So I wanted to clarify that, because I mean, I understand the cut and dry you take in it, but I also wanted people to understand that that's not truly like, you're not coming off like an asshole, because you're not.
No.
So I mean, because I wouldn't hang around with an asshole. I'm just putting that for the record.
Well, and I mean, I'll help anybody. I want to help people. Right. I want to be of service to people. Right. But their number one, their heart has to be in it. Number two, it has to be authentic and real. You know, absolutely. Because there's been plenty of times in my career where people, I give them something of my time or my wisdom, you know, just like my mentors have done for me, and then they turn around and talk crap. You know what I mean? How am I supposed to react to that? Where it's like, okay, I just gave you all this time and to help you. Now, granted, I got something out of it because I got to know you better and understood you better. But it's like, really? You're SOL in my book after that moment.
Right.
You know, right. Yeah, maybe it's growing up an only child, you know, whatever, but I do have a tough shell, but on the inside, I'm like a teddy bear, but that shell was created from all of that, you know, and to see the character of somebody, you know, I was raised like my parents were no BS, no whatever. They see through garbage. They see through people that show up in such a way that they're not being true. They're not being real. And you can kind of just cut through that preamble. You know, if somebody reaches out or tries to schmooze you or say something in a certain way, it's like, stop. You know?
Yeah.
Why do you got to put on a front? Just be yourself. You know, there's a reason why you're doing that. So what does Sandra say? Right. Always love to have conversations, to learn all the time. I am always learning something. Caution on the side of lack of knowledge. Yeah. So,
my sister,
and then Julie.
She's in Florida.
Hello, Julie.
I hope you're having a safe and fun time. And please take pictures of the plaques that were dedicated to Mark, if you would, please. Love you. Thank you. So,
you know,
she's
so
having
anything
a good time.
To add on this? I appreciate the challenge and whatnot, but also though for allowing me to just be clear about where I'm coming from with acquaintances. So thank you for that, Liz.
Right.
Thank you.
Well, cool. So yeah, you're welcome. You're welcome. You're welcome. So yeah, no, it's just like you said, when you start slicing and dicing here, it really is a huge spectrum of conversation, but we all lump it together, you know, acquaintance, you know, like, you know, it's one of those things where, are we talking about how we dealt with people in the past and how we do it forward? Thank you, Jules. I love you. And so, you know, it's the, you know, first impressions that go wrong, you know, and that's why I was saying before, you know, sometimes first impressions just don't go right. You know, I mean, for whatever reason, that doesn't mean that you cancel them out. I mean, I've heard, you know, in my line of business, doing parties, I would always ask people, how'd you meet? And I still love asking people, how'd you meet? Or how'd you get connected to this person? Because there's always great stories. And sometimes I hear, even in the best of relationships, they met, oh, I couldn't stand this son of a gun, you know, and this and that. I'm sure you've heard that, right? When you've asked wedding couples, you know, you say, how'd you meet? And sometimes it's just not black and white, is it?
Right.
It truly isn't.
I think that I think that personalities are a huge thing, you know. I mean, there's misunderstanding. I mean, in our virtual world, it's I think that in my mind, acquaintances are, it's like, okay, what comes out of somebody's mouth and the consistency of that, they keep showing up. They just have a presence about them that is unique. Is they're not trying to show off for anybody. And, you know, to me, it's the character and their integrity that speaks the most, right? It's like, do they just have this snake oil style salesman type of style where they don't really practice what they preach, the words that they come out of their mouth, they really don't honor, you know? I think that when you kind of tie up all of that plus their actions, there is what can form in the brain. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, wow, this person seems pretty cool, but do they upset people? Do they piss people off? There's all sorts of stuff that kind of contribute one piece at a time, and you just kind of sit back and keep tabs on it, right? When they don't think you're looking is when you're like, ooh, wow, this person gets into some issues. What did Julie say? Love is easy when you find the right person. It gets easier when you get older. Yeah.
Yeah, she's talking about my brother. My brother was just he just was a love bug to be all love bugs. I mean, he just loved everybody, and that was that, and it showed. So, but even my brother showed me. I mean, my brother would get angry at some people, and he goes, "I'm going to pray for that person. I'm going to really pray for that person," because like I said, I come from a family of temper, man. I mean, just, it's in the blood, but it's really I could be just as cunning as the next person if they're going to treat me like that. I mean, I'm not saying I'm not like that, but there's missed opportunities when I've been that way, when I've been defensive, and, and I regret some of those, but, it's just leaving your emotions and not ruining it for other people in your life that come forward from people in your past. You can't keep bringing that baggage to your next relationships or friendships or assumptions, because you're always going to be right with your assumptions, people. So change your assumptions. And that's why I like to be a little Pollyanna, because I do see the good in the fruit in things when I was kind. And even I want to say to you, Brian, when you think somebody's using you, don't judge what you're giving out for free, because God has a way of saying, you know what, you're giving out free, but let's see how greedy and self-minded. When you said you want to help people, leave it at that. You're helping people. Leave it at that.
But I will
you don't know how you're going to get paid back.
When you feel like you're taken advantage of, and the person is the person is just devious, they just want to get what they get and set you aside, there's a problem there that I don't want to be around. That person's poisonous.
Right. And absolutely, when you recognize that, that's when they're not even an acquaintance. They're like, I don't have nothing to do with them. I totally agree. We can agree on that. But what I'm saying is as long as we know that we were nice and kind to them and just being, and they act a little different, then you just realize your intuition was right. You let it go.
Right.
And you move on.
I think
so. I'm just saying,
also though, like,
don't hold on to the animosity. No,
right.
Let it go.
Well, I mean, and that's not even in this conversation because they're not even acquaintance.
Okay.
I think I think what's there for me now is that an acquaintance is like, of that person. It may not be that personal. I mean, just overarching, right? Regardless if it's personal or business, you're neutral with that person. You're aware of them. You're like-minded, but you really haven't dived down deep or all the things that take it from an acquaintance to a relationship, right? Personal or professional. I think that there's a distinction in the brain, and that's to each one of us to identify. It's like, okay, what is a relationship for me? Like the work we did yesterday, but also though an acquaintance, and it's like, ooh, what's the separation there? You know what I mean? What things pop up for me that separate the two? And for me, I think that there's a neutral understanding, like-mindedness, but it doesn't go as deep as a relationship where it's somebody you confide in. It's somebody that you talk to on a regular basis, or somebody that, another way of looking at it too is that like somebody that you'd call to bail you out of jail early in the morning, right? It's like, would an acquaintance do that, or with somebody that you're in a relationship with? Those distinctions.
Well, good example. Like me, this week, I have all people I've met in Clubhouse, okay?
Yep.
Now, they're all acquaintances, but we've had some deep conversations that I think some of our personal friends never freaking heard. I mean, I think it's like the Tell the Truth Club or something, right? And you could just feel, I'm serious. Brian, we need to be on there. I'm just telling you, we get some meat and potatoes to bring to the show. They are, just in case anybody is wondering, and they are eventually going to have it on Android as well. It's just a process that they're going through. But right now, Brian, if we want to settle our club and have it all comfortable for everybody and our Android friends, our ass needs to get over there. So you'll know what I'm talking about. But seriously, you guys, the fact that these are acquaintances, but there's this connection, an energy connection, this trust, and most people don't have time to go and see my show. So I definitely get them at a advantage of not having time to see my show or get to know my audience yet. But it's a level of, we'll see where we go with these relationships. I think if they seem like a good person and I saw they're vulnerable, I want them on my show here. Now, some of them want exposure, so I'm helping them that way. But I truly am not looking at what it's in it for me. I'm not looking at it at all, because if they spark a little bit of inspiration or made me feel comfortable, I feel like I'm allowed. I want them into my space here. So maybe that's what I got. I feel safe and vulnerable and appreciate them. Now for them, they want the exposure. So it is a give and take, and it's a great acquaintance. We'll see what happens after the shows, if they continue or not, and as we're talking about relationships, maybe we'll find that out. But here we go. Julie said,
making your own boundaries and sticking to it. There's a reason the windshield is bigger than the rearview mirror. 100%.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And there's always some
and Lynn, you brought up another great point too, is that without even saying it, things are going to go where they're going to go. Without even saying a word, things are just going to pan out where they are. And it's like, there's nothing you can do to control it. There's nothing you can do about it or say. Sometimes it's just going to go where it goes.
That's just like, I'm finding that I'm finding friends on Clubhouse. They're coming on my show. And then I have people come and visit my show, and I'm so grateful that they're supporting our Clubhouse friends. But do I get recognized? Hey, Lynn, how you doing? No, they get recognized as my guest. And that's fine. That's totally fine. But how does that make my friendship feel with that person? Well, maybe like I'm invisible in the room. We'll see what happens. But I already pointed out to one of my friends. The other one, if they watch this, they'll figure it out. If not, we'll have that talk later too. So I'm just keeping it real, right? It's real and raw here. This is unedited me, unfiltered me. This is why you watch the show, because you never know what Lynn's going to tell you. I'm going to put it out there. May not have time to tell you, but I do think, I'll just say, if you think I'm talking about you and you know that I message you thank you for supporting my guest at my show, I might be talking about you. So anyways.
Any more thoughts before we can move on in terms of now the clarity that I gave you in terms of where I'm coming from, and then we can move forward? Any other comments on that?
Yeah. Where do you want to go from that? Absolutely.
I would say for you, it is like let's get down to what is the distinction between an acquaintance and a relationship? What are the pieces of that for you?
Well, for me, you mean because we're in a personal level, like you're talking about like in a guy or in a girlfriend, or just friendship like yours and I.
Why don't we do like what we did yesterday, where we broke it off in personal and professional?
Okay. For personal friendship, for me, is I need to feel comfortable that I don't have to perform for you right away. Like I can be funny if I'm around like you being inspired. And I also can show you my calm side, my, all my vulnerable sides, just me being me. But when people start getting to know who I am, and I'll use like when I was doing my parties or doing this, people don't understand I'm really an introvert. So it takes a lot of energy to be with somebody, but I love to be around people, but then I need my space or else, to charge. So the acquaintance, if they give me room to have space to be me, acquaintances, I appreciate them. And then I'd like to get to know them. But people that aggressively try to get to know me without me being ready, because like I'm the girl that comes to the party early, because I don't want to be the last one in for many reasons, because I don't like being late. But two, I don't want to walk into a crowd and see like everybody there. Like that's just freaks me out. You know what I mean? Like I just depends on the situation. Sure. For friends. Yeah. Because again, people presume, like when I do parties, I'd come in, here's a chubby girl putting all these, female stuff out and adult stuff out and lingerie, and they're already prejudging me like, oh, give me a drink, and this girl's gonna do the party. And I mean, like, you could just feel it, you could just sense it, and you're just going up the stream without a paddle, That's how it starts out. And then I have to let go and say, okay, go ahead.
But my question to you is why do you care? People are going to have an opinion about others.
Why do I care?
Well, why do you care what somebody else is going to think of you that, number one, doesn't know you?
No, I don't care. But the thing is still there's energy that I feel. Okay.
All right.
So I don't care. But what I do care about is when the energy's thick and I need to talk to these people about something intimate.
I'm clear now.
Am I going to be taught? And we're at the business part now, I guess, but as a whole and at a crowd. Okay. We're talking that you can't tell me you don't walk in a room and you feel an energy and you don't care, but you do care how it makes you feel. Okay. And when it makes you feel like you're looking around, they're all looking like you like this, you still smile and you just try.
Well, but there's a distinction there. What did you feel like before you looked out at everybody? Because it's either there before or how they're looking at you is being established in that moment. There's a distinction there. Because if you felt like that way when you walk in the room, it's only intensified by how you perceive what they look at you like, or you don't have a view and you take in everything that they're giving you as if it's the truth without you having your own feelings.
Well, that's why I said if I'm there early and I'm there with my host, which if I didn't feel comfortable with my host, I wouldn't even go there. They know how I am. So I get to meet people one-on-one. So by the time the room's full, even if I have a couple of people that I don't know, they're already drinking and getting drunk, I'm good. But if I come in late, then there's all this tension. They don't get to know who I am. I didn't even have, hi, how you doing? I'm such and such. Then there's that friction in the acquaintance thing. So energy has something to do for me because I'm just of energy. So
okay.
And for you, let's say when you walk into a wedding thing and you're in the back with the bride or the groom and whatever, and you walk in, you're like, oh shit, all these guests are early. How do you feel? I know you probably say, I don't give a shit. I'm doing my job.
No,
there's got well, I'm not putting words in your mouth. I was just using it as an example.
Is number one is with any wedding that I do, there's probably a likelihood that people are aware of me. I want to get them to smile. I want them to feel embrace that it's like, ooh, the room is ready. Here we are. Let the journey continue. Let the experience continue. So
have you ever had that feeling then that I'm talking about?
Not really, because I don't until I
you don't feel the energy like I do.
But here's the thing about it is that I'm assuming what they're thinking just because they give me a look. A look is a look.
No, I don't. Yeah, and you don't know what that look means. They could have just farted to try to sneak a fart out. I mean,
they're just looking at me like, oh, what did I say? Did I say something? Do I smell what? My tie is a little off. What? Here's the thing is that by my training, until it comes out of somebody's mouth, then I know it's clear. But I'm not going to assume what they're thinking because you're never going to have that answer. So why even put your brain in that unknown space?
Right. Well, and that's a point. That's a point that I do try to make is when I would surround myself by a lot of people, I put myself, my aura, my being, I put it really low and be the, okay, I'm going to go in here. I'm staying, I can come off as being very non-sociable, like I'll try not to make eye contact, especially if there's a lot of guys there, like, smiley, like, okay, So I mean, it just, like, good example, when I would go see my brother perform, I try to go early, because if he was already performing and I get there, and I'm like just trying to sneak into the bar and whatever, and then he goes, oh, there's my little sister, there's my sister over there. I'm like, oh shit, you know he'd do that all the time. So yeah. So
Okay.
what's Jules say here?
Julie says exactly how you feel about yourself when you look in the mirror before you leave is how you set yourself up for when you go out. I never let others change my perspective of myself. Yeah. I mean,
And
now
Julie,
here's the thing.
Jules, you're beautiful.
Every situation is going to be different. Now, the difference between a wedding is that it's an emotional environment anyways. There's only a select group of people that are going to be there. If I'm one of those people to be honored to be a part of the day, it's on a deeper level, right? But they still don't know me and I don't know them. But the way I engage with them is in subtle ways, in my opinion, just like how you get to know somebody, right? Like let's say the context of your show. Somebody does your show, you continue that relation or move into a relationship if that's what you want, little by little. It's not all done overnight, right? And I think a lot of these elements are because of how you feel in that moment, how you want to be treated, and it's like, what are they really after? So great to bring up the wedding context. But I've done the mental work to be like, they don't know me and I don't know them until I open up the microphone, until I engage with them. But I will be that person to be vulnerable and transparent to engage with them. Like when I'm doing my walk every day, to just, I think that instead of saying hi to somebody, if you just wave at them, hi, it's disarming, right? Does it make me not like them because they don't say hi? No, because I'm not doing it for them. I'm doing it for me. Because I want to be that person. So Sandra says, for me, I just want to feel comfortable in the conversation and not judge at first. I usually don't judge until they give me a reason not to want to carry it further. Really don't want a lot of negativity in my life as well, so I protect me. Yeah, I mean one of my big shells is that obviously you can't feel something unless you're vulnerable. That's just the way it works. In the personal realm, what takes it from an acquaintance to a relationship, I think, is time. That's a huge thing, and that we're not after anything. There's just a vibe. There's a mood. There's that person just has a personality and like just somebody that I would gravitate towards, or I can be open with, or whatever.
Kellen said hi to me. Thank you, Kellen. I love you.
Thanks for being here.
Well, I'm going to be on her show next month.
Oh my God.
I'm going to be on her show.
Good for you.
I want her back on my show again sometime soon. Now she's feeling better from COVID. You are okay now from COVID, right? So.
Yeah.
Oh, now there's Mark saying hi.
There's our friend.
Jay, and now an awesome show with Brian. Oh, thank you, Mark. Mark, I couldn't have done that show without you.
You're just so nice.
He did an introduction for me. He helped me do the right thing in introducing Jay, and I couldn't have done it without him. It was just amazing, and I thank you so much for that. I really appreciate that.
Mark said in New York.
See, these guys are not acquaintances; they're family.
When we need to send a bottle of red wine to Mark's place in New York or something. Okay.
Right? Yeah, we do. Oh, connections. Yeah, for sure. So, but so acquaintances.
I think acquaintances are like, if you wanted to be, I think it's a step to creating a relationship. It's a place on the map or on the scale. It's like acquaintance, and then maybe they stay in acquaintance, maybe they don't. So
right.
But if they continue on that path and that trajectory, then, you'll create some kind of relationship with them. You know?
Well, the world, we get to know so many people. Now we got Clubhouse, and you guys need to get Brian on Clubhouse, Brian or Mark and Kellen. Seriously, he's missing out on topics for our show here. But seriously, the whole thing with getting to know people on a faster, expeditiously pace that we are, including the networking that's going on at Clubhouse, it does get so busy. And so now I'm finding that I have to like do more time management, as far as what time I can allow for this or that, because we only have so many hours in the day, you know what I mean? So it definitely is important to make that time for those connections, and the thing is, like Kellen, she does cards. I mean, sending out a special card to somebody. Mark sent me a cool card through that mailbox thing that he got a link from somebody for, I mean, like it's really cool to keep connected with people. A simple text, it's just a quick hello. It's always so fast paced.
What do you think are your top couple things that would that speak to you in terms of somebody doing above and beyond acquaintance level things? Like if you were able to, if you guys continue the positivity. Hey,
bye, Jules. I love you. Bye. Be careful.
What do you think are
Sorry about
like
that. So on what level?
Yeah, you're like things that somebody can do that it's like, ooh, this is above and beyond an acquaintance level for me. Like there's something to this person that it's like, ooh, we're moving just in a forward motion.
Well, like I'm due to do this, and I haven't done it in a while, but I do think putting your signature and actually writing in a card is really, really special. That's taken a few minutes to do that. A quick text. Hey, how you doing? A quick little voice message on Messenger. I mean, little things, because we are in a fast-paced world, especially just thanking people for, like you and I, we're like Heckle and Jekyll, we're always thanking each other for what we do for the show. I love it though, I'm like, thank you for getting the topics, and thank you for showing up, and thank you for, not being mad that I'm running a little late to our show, but just little simple things. I mean, but I'm just saying, it's like, I just appreciate, and I just think they compound daily when you let people know that, or even, Snapchat's really cool to do silly picture, or, happy birthdays. I haven't been good about happy birthdays, which today, my daughter's birthday is today, and she's 28. So,
cool.
But, I was in Baltimore, Maryland this time 28 years ago. That's pretty wild. Before moving to Montana. But again, acquaintances, I mean, like if you take the fact from 6th, 7th, 8th, and 9th, okay, 4 years of school, and then I graduated a year early. I went to summer school, a different school, met people there. I not only had the people I went through 6th through 10th grade, but then I learned another 300 kids that I was graduating with, because I was in 2 grades at the same time. So I know a minimum of 1,000 people in Syracuse, no joke. And I knew all their names. I kid you not. And so then 2 years in Maryland. And now I've been here, and I've done over 2,000 parties in Billings, Montana. I hate to say it, by this time, I've done face readings because I had to learn people's faces and blah, blah, blah. But I'll tell you what, at this point, I go places, and there's still people that know me from I'm just known. That's just how it kind of happens.
Sure.
But, it's just kind of hard. But these are people that I may not see all the time, but I love them. I mean, to me, they mean more than acquaintances. Right. I mean, like, there's my water bill lady. I mean,
what about that makes them more than acquaintances? Like the feelings part. What is it? Just you trust your gut? What is that?
Just simple things like, they let me in their home, or they were just kind, or, just the little things that they did, or little synchronicities. I can't even say that word today. Little things that they did to welcome me in their life, or
intricacies.
Yeah. That's the one. That's the word.
Thank you. Yeah, fist bump. Yeah. Intricacies.
I love you. I'm so glad you get me.
The word of the day.
Cool,
The word of the day for everyone
is not
intricacies.
It's not. Stop.
Anyhow, continue.
Okay. I do. Anyways, so it's the little things that
Okay.
they have done or took time out for me, because the world is fast pace, and because it's fast paced, we don't have time. You see, I know why you love me so much. Have your entertainment for the day because you don't watch TV. But let me watch Lynn for an hour. Let me just, yeah, that's what it is. I know.
Lynn,
Anywho,
that was the wrong
yes.
word.
Shut up. Okay.
Okay.
So keep their word. And yeah, the little things and acceptance. Yeah, it is the biggest things. Like good example. I'm going to use Sandra as an example.
Okay.
Now, I met her daughter through a group that we belong to. She was like instant soul sister.
Okay.
Then when I met her mom, not only does she remind me, or her daughter, or Christine, looks so much like her mom, but it was just her tone. And that was like so sweet because she'd start putting on her little calendar, to watch Lynn, and the little things that the fact that she even wrote my name down to watch the show, like that touches my heart. Like that means so much to me, because it wasn't, oh, I'm passing. If there's nothing else to do, I'm just going to bring it up there or whatever. It's just the little things she does. And I tell her daughter, I love your mom so much. She'd laugh. She goes, oh, she loves you too. I'm like, she does? She goes, she does. And it was just, it's one of those things where when you don't think people are noticing, and they're there and they support you. And look at the people. I mean, like, look at all the people that showed up today. Mark, Kellen, Jewel. I mean, Sandra, like, now that's embedded in my heart, especially because Kellen said, hi, Lynn. But it just, that's the little things that I know, but I just read into those little things like I either matter or I don't. And I've learned never to be anywhere where I don't feel like I'm accepted. And not that I need to have the main floor, but I just feel like if I'm invisible there, then I can be invisible and take myself out of the situation. I will never be where I'm not wanted or in that space, because I don't want to force feel like I am taking up space where I shouldn't be. I mean, I might as well, use it up. So it's the little things like that. Mark and Kellen taking time, their schedule to come here, even if they just said hi to my guest. I mean, like I said, I just appreciate that a lot. That means more to me than sending me chocolates or something like that. It's just the little things to me.
And, yeah, the little things are huge, because especially, you mentioned it several times, is that how fast our society works, is that for people to disrupt their own normal thinking to do something that matters to somebody, it's like, it doesn't have to be a lot of money or whatever. It could even be free, but it's just that you did it, right? You disrupted your way of thinking to consider somebody else before yourself.
Let me share this. I think the reason why, and I'm going to get real vulnerable here, but it's those little things that matter a lot to me, because when you do have depression and when that does hit, and you realize you give and give and you want to support people, and when you realize when you're alone, there's nobody there to support you. And I mean, I can get myself out of that. I don't need that cup I can fill my own cup now, but I'm talking about the deep down times when I needed somebody to know that somebody thought my words mattered. I'm telling you, I feel that. And I'm getting really, I don't even, it's not my story to tell, but I will just say that somebody in my audience, lost a child, that's not with us anymore. And, my heart goes for them, because there's so many people that don't feel loved on a small level that can make a big difference in their life from suicide. Suicide sucks, because those people, and then what sucks more is that all the people that show the love after that person's gone, and they needed that love before they died. That is why I'm passionate about my show. That's why I'm passionate about, I don't mind giving it out, but sometimes You need to know your friends, and they don't need to come and watch my show all the time, but you'd like to know from your friends, are you doing okay? How's it going? Whatever, because you want to know that did that show really matter? Well, you don't get any feedback. You don't live for the feedback, but you live to know, am I actually making an effort in anyone's life? And there's a lot of people that can't talk for themselves.
Yeah.
And so I just feel acquaintances or not, you should leave a person better than when you found them.
Yep.
And my heart goes out when I see all the people that have regrets at these funerals of suicide when they didn't take time. And I'm not saying that it's because they didn't have the attention that they did this. We really don't know about suicide, but it's hard to go every day. And my daughters have not had easy life. I mean, my daughters have depression, and I had some parts to do with it. I mean, kids don't come with a manual, but the bottom line is that, you got to just check on people, especially when you think about them, and you've just got to let people know while we're here that they matter now after they're gone. I can't drill that enough.
The only thing I'm going to say about that is I echo and thank you for your vulnerability. The only thing I'm going to say to that is when people judge somebody, when they have absolutely no flipping idea what's going on in their head or what they're dealing with.
That's right.
But it's so easy for somebody to be on their side of the fence, to reach over without emotion and feelings about what else is going on in somebody's brain.
But listen, I can't speak for everybody that's listening here that dealt with suicide, but I feel like I need to say this. What people don't understand, from most of the people that I know that have been touched by suicide, except for somebody that's in this audience, and I don't know the logistics there, but from what I know, my statistics so far, every one of those that committed suicide were people that were loving and giving of themselves to other people all the time. They just were not receiving it back. I will tell you that I know that of many of them. So that's why I speak up and say that they have a sense of pride. They had such a sense of pride not to share with people that they were suffering in silence.
Mm-hmm.
It was silence of them not feeling like they measured up, because nobody really checked to see, hey, you're always here for everybody, but is anybody there for you?
Yep.
And they're some of the loneliest people. Don't have spouses or loved ones, or there could be miscommunication. So I'm just saying, suicide is not cut and dry, but those are things that sometimes when you don't check on your neighbor, it can be, So being kind to everybody, giving you might be the last person a person sees, and you can make a difference. So just keep that in mind, please.
Yeah. Yeah. We could have a whole show on that, or several shows on that. What really grabs my heart is after that person moves on or something like that, and then you hear all the story. You don't hear the truth, right? Yeah. And
right.
What you could have did in that moment to disrupt that person, and that upsets me majorly. It really does, because number one, the person can't speak for themselves. Number two is that now it's on your map of like importance, but it wasn't important when you could have did something about it. And then you got this story about whatever, and it's like, that upsets me, especially like Lynn, as being another person along with you that suffers from anxiety and depression. Nobody has any flippant idea what that's like when those days are strong. Nobody, because they're not you and I'm. They're not us, right? And I'm not saying that we're any different than anybody else, but it's like anybody can judge anything from an outside. But if you're willing to go further and be in that person's world, it's a priceless place to be if you're willing to do what it takes to be there. Because doing nothing,
and like I said,
doing what you always do, that is the norm. But to go above and beyond that is what we're talking about here.
Right. And that's exactly what I'm saying is, fighting depression every day is like brushing your teeth and taking a shower.
Yeah.
You got to brush your teeth and take a shower to feel better.
Yeah.
I mean, that's about the only scenario I can give you that tells you that you have to make that decision. Am I going to fall into the pit or am I going to be out of the pit? Do I have things to be grateful for? But I'm just saying, I could wake up in the morning, I could go at night and not say my prayers, but how am I going to feel after? It's just the same thing as if I'm going to eat. I love bacon back in the day, but I can't eat bacon no more because of my stomach.
Yeah.
So again, it's what you put in, what you put out. You're going to pay for it now or pay for it then.
The one question or the one thing that somebody says that triggers me into really having to hold my lip, because I don't want to make anybody wrong, but I'll give it out of both barrels to people. What I just mentioned in a more direct tone is when somebody says something to the degree of, I can't believe they did that, or can you believe that they did that to themselves? And it's like, you know what I mean? Like they have no clue of what that's like. And they're judging that person.
Yeah. Well, it's just like anybody that could say, right. It's just like everybody says, gee, how did she gain the weight back? It's like, do you know what's going on with my stomach? Do you know what, do you know, blah, blah, blah. Like I said, I've learned the hard way, So it just, again, we all got stuff to learn, and it's all matter of perception all the time. So, man, we're running out of time there, my friend.
We thank all of you for being with us on this journey about acquaintances and debating and suicide and all sorts of different things. It's all relevant. Our one question and action step for all of you to consider: what does an acquaintance look like for you from a feeling point of view? Right? When you look at relationships from a feeling perspective, not logic, but feelings, is personally and professionally, depending on how deep you want to go, what does an acquaintance look like for you? I would look at the distinction. Like, okay, of those people that are in my life, of those that I'm in a relationship with, personally or professionally, how do I feel like that? And then what is the difference between somebody that's not there yet? That's what we want to really kind of get you to consider and strip
Brian,
out of you.
I don't want to ignore this, okay? I think I'm getting permission for this, okay?
Okay.
When I was talking about suicide and people that care and stuff.
Okay.
Sandy, I think, is willing to share here, okay? And so she said, yes, they're usually giving others and don't take time for themselves. Now,
100%.
Now go ahead and read this because I won't be able to read this out loud.
Sure. They can hide it well. We had plans 3 weeks earlier to do the waterfront that summer. Just hard to understand when we talked.
Yeah, so I want to end the show with honor of Sandra's daughter, Karen. Okay. And like I said, I didn't know her. I didn't know much, but I know that that's still a struggle for you, Sandy. And I couldn't speak for your family or anything on that topic. I just know that people need to realize that we don't know what's going on in everyone's mind. And if we could be mindful of that, and treat it like this may be the last time you see them, you may let them know how much you love them. Because if anything, I've heard of many stories where people stop the idea of suicide because they said, you know what, I don't want to hurt that person that would be left behind. And it might just take that for them to save their own life. So I don't mean to end the show like on a somber thing, but it's very, very important that we honor the fact that all we can do is learn from stories and learn that people are hurting, and we never know. So, and I'm glad, Mama, you have no regrets. I'm grateful for that. I wouldn't wish that for you, and you're a good person. So I love you very much. Again, thank you everybody for being here. I think by tomorrow we need to get a definite time. I think tomorrow's hump day. We need to get going on some information so that you can be prepared to hang out with us on Saturday. Much I will tell you.
If you're available Saturday night, we're going to have a show, and I'm teetering around it. But we will have information. Lynn and I will talk. And but if you're able to join us on Saturday night, talk.
We're
We
going
are
to talk
looking
about
at,
this.
I don't want to reveal a time because we haven't confirmed it, but if you are available Saturday night in the evening, we will be having a show, and we've got some stuff brewing, and it's going to be a lot of fun. So if you're looking for entertainment and fun and just randomness on Saturday night, stay tuned tomorrow.
Yeah, for sure. All right, you guys have a good one. Peace
See you
out.
tomorrow.
We'll see you tomorrow. Bye.